invoices and write their letters.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see some progress in that department.
Yeah, no doubt.
Guys want to play cards or something? while we look? We're good?
We're good now?
All right, thanks, Vince. Okay, we're going to call the Borough Council meeting to order for Monday, July 12th at 7 p.m. We'll stand for the pledge and then remain standing for a moment of silence, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, roll call, please.
Certainly. Mr. Delaney.
Present.
Mr. Dern.
Here.
Mr. Doyle.
Here.
Mr. Hadley.
Here.
Mr. Odom is not present this evening. Mr. Pastor.
Here.
Mr. Vento is also not present this evening. Mayor Schlegel.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I'll entertain a motion for to approve the Treasurer's Report for the month of June.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dern,
Second.
second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. I'll also approve a motion to approve the expenses for the month of June.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dern,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Hadley. Mr. Thomas, if you would.
Certainly. For the month of June, payables out of the general fund requiring council approval, $664,000, 664. Let me start this over again.
Take two.
$664,687.44. From the Street Improvement Fund, payables requiring council approval, $7,973.15. From the Fire Fund, payables requiring council approval, $24,266.39. From the Capital Improvement Fund, payables requiring council approval, $70,167.03. From the Flood Mitigation Fund, payables requiring council approval, $18,916.59. Emergency Medical Services Fund, payables requiring council approval, $2,184.58. 2019 Bond Fund, payables requiring council approval, $748,925.33. And finally, miscellaneous borough purchases of $475 for total payables to be approved, $1,537,595.51.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Dern made the motion, Mr. Hadley seconded, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the minutes for the June 16th, 2021 council meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Hadley,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Mayor, recognition of achievement in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. I spent a month trying to figure out how I was going to recognize the entire community. So I'm going to present this to the community, and Mr. Thomas, if you would see that this is published on our website, please.
Yes, I will.
Certificate of Achievement presented to Plum Boro. Whereas I, as mayor, have had the privilege to be associated with these dedicated, hardworking employees of Plum Boro who go above and beyond to ensure our events are the best they can be. And whereas the 2021 Summerfest celebration was the most successful to date, I wish to thank all who contributed, directly or indirectly, to this year's success. That includes the employees, both paid and unpaid, who volunteered their time, local associations, police, volunteer firemen, vendors, and above all, those who attended. And whereas there were over 6,000 who attended our three-day event. And whereas the success of Summerfest, along with our other events, demonstrates through the participation of the community that Plum Boro is indeed a great place to live and raise a family. Therefore, be it resolved, I, Harry R. Schlegel, Mayor, with deep gratitude, thank you all. And that is all I have for right now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was great. Okay, moving along the agenda. Civic announcements.
Hi, I'm Pam with the library. I just wanted to update you all on our summer reading program, and it's going really well. But for anyone who's still interested, it's not too late to register. You can register on our website. And we also have many great programs coming up for all ages. Last month, we partnered with the Allegheny County Parks Department to host Skins and Skulls at Boyce Park, and children were able to discover different native animal species that live in our county, and we had a great time with the park rangers. In 2 sessions that day, we had more than 70 people in attendance. The library also has 2 brand new collections for people to borrow and take home with them. STEAM kits featuring robots and circuit boards that help children develop STEAM skills, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And then we also have a collection of about 40 board games, so people can take home and play with their friends and family. I encourage you all to continue to visit our website or call the library for more information about our summer programs throughout the remainder of the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm going to tack up my little sign here. Good news, the Plum Community Center is back, baby.
Yay!
We are back. We opened on July 6th. The only change is our hours are now from 9 a.m. to 3:30 instead of 4 because we have a cleaning and sanitization routine that we go through. When you first come back to the center, 1 form to fill out. We'll take your temperature, probably only through September. Masks are appreciated for those that are not vaccinated, and we encourage vaccinations but don't ask for any sort of proof. But our seniors are fearless, Mayor. We had 25 women for bingo today. Our exercise classes have been full for the last 2 weeks. So what I would encourage you to do is look on our website, www.plumcommunitycenter.com, and download our newsletter, which has all of the activities that we do on a daily basis and our schedules. If you can't access a computer and you haven't gotten our direct mail, call us at 412-795-2330, and we will get our newsletter out to you so you can participate in the activities. Mayor, I want to thank you. I see the beautiful game boards that were painted for us that I watched on TV last time.
Well, you thank the people that
Yes.
made the
Yeah, the
I
young
just
lady did
delivered.
a beautiful job. So we'll come get those because I want to thank the borough for the new patio. Our place is looking pretty swanky. Y'all need to come up and visit us. We have a beautiful patio, the new entranceway for safe distancing. All the seniors who are coming in are quite impressed with the improvements and want you to know we're very appreciative of it, and we hope to see you all at the center soon. Thanks.
Will do. Thank you so much, Karen.
I have to tell you, Karen, that's in all my years of being here, it's the first PowerPoint presentation I've ever seen put up there. I was impressed by that.
I totally want to do a PowerPoint to show all of that. But
Thank you.
that would be over the top.
Good evening. My name is Tom Banta. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief for Renton Volunteer Fire Department, and I just want to provide council with an update from our activities for the year and from last month. Currently, we have 34 members in our department. We have 17 active members. We have 4 associate members, 3 junior firefighters, and 10 workforce members. We continue to hold our weekly training sessions where we have an average of 10 members per training session. We also continued our group training with the Monroeville, at the Monroeville Training Center. We recently had fireground operations training, which allowed our officers to practice having command at a fire scene. It allowed our pump operators to use multiple lines, multiple charge lines, and it allowed our interior crews to practice search and rescue operations. Through June, the Renton Fire Department has responded to 265 calls. 141 of those calls are fire-related, 124 are QRS-related. For the month of June, we had 38 calls, 19 fire calls, and 19 QRS calls. The most frequent fire call we have year to date is automatic fire alarms. They account for 45% of our calls, followed by motor vehicle accidents, which are 26%. Our response time from the time we're dispatched to the time we get our first truck out the door is 4 minutes. It takes an average of 6 minutes for us to arrive on scene, and we're there an average of 24 minutes. As far as QRS, our most frequent QRS calls remain difficulty breathing and lift assist from falls. We did have a noticeable increase this past month of June in overdose calls, so that's an area of concern. As far as fundraising, our solicitation letters went out last month, and we're still collecting those results. And we are also still handing out combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors to the residents of Plum, which we'll do until they are all passed out. That's all I have. Any questions?
To
Thank you.
pass out the smoke detectors, do they have to be in your district, or is it anybody that's in Plum?
Anybody in Plum?
Thank you.
I got a question for you.
Sir.
The lady's name is Mrs. Arndt over there on Regency Park. You guys put one in for her. She's the lady that had one of us kept going off, so she put it outside in a bucket of water. She called me and said, she's left me an email or a voicemail that there was a second one she was looking for. I can get you the address, I just don't have it with me right now.
We will definitely take care of it.
I
for her.
appreciate that, thank you. One of you,
She did call again.
she did call, thank you.
Whenever she called the first time I returned her call.
Yes, you
she
did.
asked me not to call for a couple more weeks.
Well, she also managed to put me in my place because I referred to her as in her 90s. 94-year-old, I said. She is not 94. She's close, but not. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you. Any other civic announcements tonight?
The audit.
Are you gonna go now? Okay. It is audit time, and tonight is the audit presentation, so please come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kara Nicoletti. I served as the manager on the borough's 2020 audit engagement this year. So I quickly I put in front of all of you the final audit reports, and I quickly just wanted to go over them with you. The timing of this audit was pretty consistent with what you have seen in the past. We performed fieldwork in February and March of 2021. With some additional audit work that took place in May once we received the pension and the other post-employment benefit information from your actuary. Like I said before, your reports are final at this point. They are in front of you. They all have an opinion date of last Friday, actually, of July 9th. Included in your packets, you will find there are 3 different reports for the borough and then 2 reports for the real estate tax office. For the borough, we issued financial statements for December 31st, 2020, a management letter that includes any findings and recommendations that we had as part of the audit, and then the communication to those charged with governance letter, which is a standard letter that we issue for all of our audits that includes any information that we are required to communicate with you related to the audit. And then related to the real estate tax office audit, we issued financial statements and a management letter for that office as well. I quickly wanted to go over the 3 reports that we issued for the borough. The first one that I wanted to talk about is the communication to those charged with governance letter, which I think is the first document in your packet. Like I said before, this letter includes any of the required information that we would like to communicate with you as council. At the beginning of the letter, we talk about what our responsibility is as the auditors, and our responsibility is to issue an audit opinion on your financial statements. Next, the letter goes on to talk about management's responsibility. Management is responsible for the financial statements. We are just here to issue an opinion on the financial statements, although we assist management with preparing the financial statements. In the end, management is responsible for them. The next part of the letter talks about any of the significant accounting policies that the borough has, which points you to the footnotes in the financial statements. If there are any significant estimates or any significant footnote disclosures, they are reported in that letter as well. At the end of the letter, We would talk about if we had any difficulties when performing the audit. We would have to include that in the letter, but I'm happy to report that we had no difficulties. We performed most of the audit remotely this year, and we had great cooperation from the borough with performing the audit. We had no issues, so I'm happy to report, and I would like to thank the borough staff for all of the help that they gave us with performing the audit. And then lastly, we had management at the end of the audit sign a representation letter, basically disclosing to us that they have provided us with all of the information that we needed to perform the audit. And so that was signed as of Friday, July 9th, which is the same date as the audit opinion. Next, I'm going to move on to the financial statements for the borough. I'm not going to go through them in detail. I just wanted to point out a few things. Like I mentioned, it is our job as the auditors to issue an opinion on these financial statements. So that's what you'll find at the beginning of the document. That is our opinion. And we did issue an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion, which is what you would want to see as counsel. And I did want to point out that there is a small paragraph related to an adverse opinion on the Plum Boro Municipal Authority because they are not included in the financial statements of the borough. We do not issue an opinion on them, and that's similar to how it has been in prior years. Next, moving on to the actual financial statements. There are two sets of financial statements included in your financial statement packet. The first set is the government-wide financial statements, which includes all of the activity of the borough's governmental funds. Also, in those financial statements, any long-term debt or any long-term liabilities that the borough has is included in those financial statements, and any capital assets as well. So on the government-wide financial statements, the borough had net position at the end of the year of a negative $6.3 million, which is pretty consistent to what you saw in the prior year of negative $6.2 million. And again, that's because of all of the long-term liabilities related to your pension and your other post-employment benefit plan. They are included on those financial statements. The next set of financial statements are your fund financial statements, which is probably more similar to what you look at on a monthly basis. The one fund that I wanted to point out to you is your general fund, which is basically like the operating fund for the borough. The general fund balance at the end of the year was around $4.4 million, which is an increase from the 2019 number of around $3.8 million. Next, I just wanted to point out a couple footnotes. I'm not going to go through them in detail that you might be interested in, some of your significant footnotes. Footnote 5 is related to the guarantee of debt for the Plum Boro Municipal Authority. Footnote 8 gives you more information about your pension plan, and footnote 10 gives you more information about your other post-employment benefits plan. So then the last document that I wanted to go over is the management letter. Like I said before, if there were any findings or recommendations that we have as part of the audit, we would include them in that letter. So if you would look at that letter, you will see there are some comments related to cybersecurity training and information technology controls that we have included in this letter as like best practice comments. And then also one comment related to the review of the investments of your bond funds. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm not going to go over the real estate tax office audit reports unless if there are any questions.
Were you able to speak with, why can't I think of his name?
Emery?
Emery, thank you.
Yeah. We were able to communicate with him via email, so he gave us an explanation for where he was investing the money and what U.S. Assets thoughts were behind those investments. So really our recommendation is just to make sure that the borough and council are aware of those investments and reviewing and approving of those investments on a regular basis.
Great. Well, I can assure you that the council's been advised over and over again with this. This is a big deal, and we're on top of it. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
thank you for your hard work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
good to see you too.
Have a good night.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Any other civic announcements? Okay, moving on, President's comments. Other than wishing everybody a belated 4th of July weekend and holiday weekend, I have nothing else to say. Moving on to council actions. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I have so much writing on my page here, I didn't see the J. Citizens' comments on agenda items. We did have one signed up. Mr. Wright? Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to council actions. This is the Dan Hadley Show tonight. On behalf of Mr. Vento and the Planning and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to grant the request for preliminary final subdivision approval for Parkside Phase 2, FS-01-21, as recommended by Planning Commission and contingent upon the final review of the borough engineer.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pastor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of Planning and Economic Development, I move to approve the Hecker Simple Subdivision FSC-05-21 contingent upon the applicant obtaining the necessary zoning variances as well as the final review and approval of the borough engineer.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Delaney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to table motion number 3, the motion on MVP properties.
Mr. Thomas, remind me, do we have to vote on the table? Or
You need to get a second.
Okay, we need a second on the
I'll
motion.
second it.
Second by Mr. Delaney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to accept the Coddington Lot Line Revision FSC-06-21 application as complete.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Back to you, then back to me.
That will end the Planning and Economic Development Committee motions. As I said, it's Mr. Hadley's show tonight. So on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve a cost of living increase for a retired police officer as recommended by the Borough Actuary.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Hadley, second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That is all for
That is all for the
Personnel.
Personnel and Management. On behalf of the Finance Committee, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you.
I wasn't lying.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to enact ordinance number 956-21, authorizing the incurring of non-electoral debt by the Borough of Plum in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $10,700,000 for the purposes of providing for the costs of capital improvements and paying the costs of issuing the bonds.
We have a motion by Mr. Hadley.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 907-21, specifying the sources and uses of funds for the 2020 to 2022 capital projects.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to authorize staff to open a checking account for the 2021 ARPA funds.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Doyle.
Mr.
Did a
Hadley.
good job, Hadley.
Thanks.
That ends council actions for the evening. We'll move along to the mayor's report. And as always,
Yep, thank you.
I will remind you that you're not getting paid by the word. It's been a while.
Yeah,
Doesn't do any good.
it doesn't. Our police department responded to 929 calls last month. That's become the new norm. It's been much lower. And we've had a couple instances to show you what our police go. They had a call up on Foxtail Drive of a stranger wandering around up there. And when Officer Porter got there, found out that it was a gentleman who was later determined to be an Alzheimer's patient who was staying with relatives in the area. He said he walked from Oakland to Plum, but we didn't know. We received 2 calls from neighbors regarding on how well Officer Porter handled the situation with that gentleman. You know, it's a bit unusual when you get a call saying there's somebody wandering around up there and you respond and you find out it's a medical situation like this. And again, we appreciate the fact that the citizens took their time to call. The ATS radar display. My rogue gallery is missing tonight, but we'll get something up there. We put it on Sheer Road again. That's maybe a half mile. Was there for 30 days, 146,451 cars. Some idiot decided to do 70 mile an hour in that half-mile stretch.
That's ridiculous. I was about to say, well, that was me, but I didn't do that.
Yeah, no, you don't even want to go with it.
No, I didn't do that. If you said 42, I might have.
Well, we had one doing 48,
No, that wasn't me.
and it was a Range Rover. Another one at 52, and then again, the idiot at 70.
Wow.
That comes out to be about 4,850-some cars a day, one way on Sheer Road. Their road is not meant to handle that. Why people speed on there, I don't know. On O'Block Road, in a 1 month period, 25,189 vehicles. And somebody had to do 59 mile an hour on that road. Again, I don't understand why. On O'Block Road, that was at the 1100 block, on the 1800 block, 33,570 vehicles one way and 50 mile an hour. And those are 25 mile an hour speed limits. And on Miller's Lane, 933 vehicles in 9 days. And the highest there was 38 mile an hour, which isn't that bad, but it's still a 25 mile an hour speed limit. And thoughtful citizens, and we have a lot of them. I'm going to recognize some of these people next month. On June 1st, Tim Joyce of Regency Drive provided Panera Bread meals to the afternoon shift as appreciation to the Plum Boro Police Department. And on June 11th, Michael Cerniglia again provided donuts and pastries from Stockline's Bakery. June 16th, Borough resident Mark Reed, who we recognized last month, brought in his birthday cake for all the police officers. And I can't say I didn't get an invite because I was out of town and they couldn't get a hold of me. So with that, that concludes it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Tim Joyce, I'd just like to point out, is a constituent. He's a Plum resident. He's chief of staff to Senator Brewster, and a great guy. So thank you, Tim, as well as everybody else. Moving along to committee reports, the Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee with the Plum School District. Who's on that committee?
Odom and Vento.
Oh, okay.
Both not here.
Okay, then we will skip that one now. Finance Committee, I think that's me. I'm not quite sure. Finance Committee report, the general fund highlights for the month of June in 2021. The Borough recognized revenues totaling $748,302 and incurred expenses in the amount of $1,154,499. Regarding the revenues, to date, we have received $2.07 million in current year earned income tax revenues. This represents 53% of the adopted budget. During the month of June, the borough received $61,229 under regional asset district funding, and we are currently at 55% of that budget. Under sanitation revenues, for the year, we have received approximately $1.1 million, and this amount represents 48% of the budget. Overall revenues are trending as anticipated, but we expect to be slightly over budget. Regarding the expenditures for the month of June, the borough has expended 48% of the budget, which represents $6.57 million. Projecting through the end of the year, we are not anticipating any material departmental budget overruns and should experience expenditures that are below budget. The borough will be processing its first draw against the 2021 tax anticipation note that is estimated to be $200,000. The borough received 50% of our American Rescue Plan Fund in the amount of $1,417,587. And that is the end of the finance report. Moving on to the roads, equipment, and grounds. Mr. Pastor.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle.
Yes, sir.
Project updates for the month of June. We'll have a pre-construction meeting for the 2021 paving project in early July, and the paving will begin in late August. The COG has awarded the Holiday Park Phase 2 stormwater project, and the lowest bid was Quigley Construction, who did Phase 1 as well. We'll be having a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, and hopefully they will start in late July with this project. Road maintenance updates are as follows. We've completed inlet repairs and pipe replacement in the following areas: Chaparral Drive, Davidson Road, Bar Harbor Drive. At the request of the property owner of the new coffee shop on Old Avers Creek Road, we changed an inlet top at the entrance to the building. The property owner has agreed to pay for time and materials. We've completed pipe replacement on Fiesta Drive between two houses, and we are working on the MS4 inspections, and we've started work on some of the retention ponds and bioretention areas that were called out in our pond inspections. This will be an ongoing area of work for the department. We've done base repair, milling, and patching on Davidson Road. We've ordered and installed street signs with the new logo for different areas, and we've been doing roadside mowing and began milling and asphalt patching in various locations. We've completed dirt hauling from the new building site, and we've installed new street signs where necessary. End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Pastor. Public safety, Mr. Dern.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle.
Yes, sir.
Brian Maloney couldn't be here tonight to read his report, so I'm going to read it for him. For the month of June, EMS responded to 250, they had 250 responses. Out of those 250 responses, 158 patients were transported. Excuse me. Responses to other communities for mutual aid was 28. 20 of these responses resulted in a transport to the hospital. Total mutual aid received into Plum was 8. And out of the request for EMS in Plum, 3.7% were turned over to neighboring EMS agencies. Their news, Plum EMS recently celebrated Alyssa Vigliotti becoming a paramedic with the organization. Alyssa has been a full-time EMT with Plum EMS and was a recipient of the Plum EMS Scholarship for Paramedic Training and Education. With this scholarship, all aspects of the paramedic program are paid for, and a schedule is developed to allow the person to complete their training while working. We look forward to having her as our newest paramedic taking care of the people from Plum Boro. And Plum EMS would like to send a thank you out to Forbes Hospital Foundation as they distributed 36 cardiac monitors to several EMS agencies throughout the area worth more than $1.3 million. Plum EMS was fortunate to receive 4 of the cardiac monitors, and it is support like this from Forbes Hospital Foundation and Plum Boro that helps make Plum EMS what it is. And thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. Planning and economic development, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle.
Yes, sir.
For June 2021, the Planning and Economic Development Report, the financial summary, there were 72 permits issued and $16,239 in revenue. The Planning Commission met in June to review Parkside Estates Phase 2 subdivision and MVP Properties outdoor storage. Zoning hearing board met on June 23rd and reviewed and granted the 3 different variances requested. As far as meetings and conference calls, they met with the owners of Davidson Road Self-Storage, met with the owners of MVP, we met with Olympus Energy, we met with homeowner on Fox Road concerning pickup of garbage and recycling, and monthly meetings with KU Resources to discuss planning projects and issues. We only had 1 housing plan issue with Parkside Estate Phase 2 subdivision issue. The borough property related public works facility issues related to facility access for garbage pickup and gas well inspections. Utility and row issues, we located Fiesta, for the GIS, we located Fiesta drive replacement pipe from Public Works project, and many other various issues handled with the GIS. The code enforcement issues, we had 17 complaints addressing included abandoned vehicles, junk and debris, high grass, and dangerous structures. There were 65 occupancy inspections performed during the month. The trainings that took place were floodplain ordinance webinar. Grant issues, we started work on Renton Park Phase 2, so grant funds can be used in 2022. And that is it.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you.
Mr. Delaney, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. For Parks and Recreation report, at Larry Mills, the staff set up and tore down for Summerfest. The staff also set up and tore down for the movie screen for Movies in the Park. We continue to work on the turf program for areas A and B. Plum Creek Park, normal summer maintenance was performed. At Renton Field, crews worked on the infield, helping the water drain better during rain events. At Barking Slopes, the Allegheny Land Trust had an artist do a painting at the woods at the entrance to the Barking Slopes Trail. At Logan's Ferry Park, the new playground is up and running. Some small items need to be completed, but the play area is in operation. At Renton Park, some staff have completed some asphalt repairs to the basketball court to help make it usable until the next phase of the project. Please note the reservations are now being taken for Larry Mills and Plum Creek Park pavilions in Renton Ballfield. Please visit our website for instructions on how to reserve a pavilion. For Borough Haps, don't forget our Monday market is continuing to go strong. It runs from now through October 25th from 3 to 7 p.m. down at Plum Creek Park. The market's growing nicely with 18 vendors currently registered. There's also a different food truck every week. We just held Summerfest on June 24th, 25th, and 26th. Visitors enjoyed rides, foods, and games. CLNL shows confirmed 1,700 all-you-can-ride wristbands were sold. Based on these ticket sales, we estimate that we had at least 6,000 guests attend during that 3-day event. That's pretty incredible, Plum. And then we just this past weekend had our July Movie in the Park featuring Scoob. We had 226 guests for pre-show activities, which included prizes and free popcorn. Children in attendance also received a bag of Scooby treats. For upcoming events, we have our Rain Barrel demo, which is tomorrow, Tuesday, July 13th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We currently have 26 participants registered. We have spaces limited to the first 30, so that means there is 4 more slots available. The cost of the workshop is $35. Our summer Movie in the Park series concludes on August 14th. That's the second Saturday in August. Our feature film has yet to be announced, and please mark your calendars for Fall Fest 2021, which will be taken care of Saturday, September 25th. Once we have more details of that event, they will be announced soon. And that'll be it.
Thank you, Mr. Delaney. The Planning Commission will not meet in July. The next item is the citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Does anybody sign up for that? Maria, I just saved you a trip. Nobody signed up. With that concludes our business, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dern.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.